you. Common. Yes. Still recovering. Take a little while. Kostet. Oh. Ups. Dann spare ich mir die für. Oder. Fuel und Supplies brauchen wir. Ich weiß nicht, ob ich die Zerstörung gefüttert habe. Egal. Thanks for coming up, Sleeper. Carmen is waiting for you, and Seraphim when you arrive at the med bay, looking fresher. He leads you into a small alcove set up like an office with an aging terminal on a simple welded desk and a small window looking out across the dusty rock of Oliveira. Got some news for us? Seraphim asks impatiently. Since you arrived back from the manufactory, he has been restless, though you aren't sure why. Not to worry, Carmen grins slyly. I think you'll want to hear this. He hits a key on the terminal and a file browser appears on the screen, showing hundreds of individual pieces of data. Ankita has been busy. Carmen gestures to the screen. She's been scraping Utspo communications cycle after cycle. Got access to ciphers. An encryption that only the gang's leadership should be able to see. He smiles. It seems she's learned some tricks since we worked together. But that's not what matters. What matters is the content of these messages. He taps a few keys and loads some of the data, which scrolls down the screen. Some parts of Utsbo leadership have been getting ideas. Ideas about taking Greenbelt and controlling food production in the belt, about exerting power over Wellspring, big ideas for a gang. But these Utsbo members aren't alone. They found themselves a powerful ally. Carmen shakes his head. Senate's dead. Senate's dead. One of two corporations fighting a bitter battle for control of the inner system. Pernicious, pernicious force. One that Utsbo are opening a door for in the Belch. Can't be serious, Seraphin cuts in. They can't be that stupid. I don't know what to tell you. At least someone inside Utsbo is trying to broker a partnership. Cool. Seraphin leans over to look at the screen. You don't need Carmen's answer, and neither does Seraphin. Lane. Seraphin looks at you, shaking his head. It has to be Lane. Carmen looks between you both. Seems like you already know something I don't. Lane is a piece of shit Utsbo leader who thinks he owns us. Seraphin shakes his head. Exactly the kind of piece of shit arrogant enough to try to manipulate Senate dad. Carmen nods thoughtfully. My condolences. I'm starting to see how you crossed paths with Ankita. Why is Ankita telling you this? Like I said, Ankita and I worked together. To put it simply, we ran in the same mercenary outfit. Carmen looks away. A lot has happened since then, but this message, this data, it's her calling in a favor. And I owe her, that's for sure. Carmen shakes his head and pushes himself off from the desk, crossing the room to look out of the window at Olivera's pale and airless surface. Hell, after what went down, I owe you both too. You look at Carmen, staring out at the surface of this hostile rock, and wonder what he sees out there. He established the colony as a fallback, a retreat, not just for him, for others too. But you get the feeling that Carmen knows any retreat is only ever temporary. He turns back to look at you, and you, Sleeper, what will you do? We will take on Utsbo. Take on a gang? Carmen smiles. Are you sure about that? We're going to end Lane, whatever it takes. Seraphin stares down Carmen, fists balled. Carmen looks at you. That one is going to get you in trouble. He turns to Seraphin, but I like that energy. Looks back out of the window. This is not something we're going to take head on. He shakes. Ankita sent us our web. Carmen turns and gestures at the console screen with its reams of incriminating data. Utsbo don't control all of Darkseid. They only aspire to. They also claim to offer protection from the war between Sandstead and Conway that presents us with an opportunity. Utsbo is full of members who'd rather die than concede Darkseid to a corporate interest. We play this right, Utsbo will end Lane for us. He smiles at Seraphin, to use your phrase. How do we do it? We can handle it. We've cracked Darkseid once. We can do it again. Seraphin's confidence is infectious. Is that right? Carmen seems to be thinking something through. He crosses to the console, back to the window, and then to the console once more. Alright, I'm going to need some time, but I can put this together. Carmen nods at Seraphin. We'll need that energy, but you also need to be ready. You watch this, it's not ending well, so I can wait. Carmen turns his attention to you. We'll go from Greenbelt when you're ready. I have friends there who can help get that ship of yours into Darkseid. Seraphin looks at you. We have our own preparations to make, but we'll be ready. Alright. Carmen unplugs Ankita's drive and hands it to you. Take this, and get out of here. I don't want anyone finding this thing in my possession. You take it. The tiny drive, somehow heavier now, that you know it contains the key to exposing Lane. Thank you. I see you in the wheat sheaf. Carmen smiles to himself. They know me there. Just understand something. Carmen's expression turns serious. You want my help on this? There's no way we can let it get back to the colony. Once you leave here, you're not coming back to Olivera. Not until we are done. He meets your eye. He needs confirmation that you recognize the importance of this. I understand. Carmen nods. Then you can go. He returns to the window to stare at whatever it is he sees out there among the dusty rocks. When you come back to the rig, Flint is waiting for you, leaning by the docking tunnel with a bag over their shoulder. They look up as you approach. Hey. Flint nods in greeting, appearing a little unsure. Hey. I know you've already done a lot for me, so I'm not going to push you or ask for your pity. They pause. You feel like they have been preparing this speech. Firstly, I owe you, and I want to pay you back. I can work, and I can fight, and I will protect this ship and this crew with everything I have. Secondly, we come from the same place, and whether you remember it or not, that means something. It must. I know I'm not the easiest to get on with. I know you might have your reservations about having another sleeper on the ship, but I'm eager. I'm ready. I want to move on, and I want to show my value. They pause. And well, yeah, I think that's it. You look at Flint, their frames so much more damaged than yours, but with a fire burning in their eyes. It makes them seem bigger than they are. Come aboard. A smile spreads across Flint's face, and they look down to hide it. Thank you, they say to the floor. This'll work out, you'll see. Flint nods to you once more, then turns and glides down the docking tunnel towards the ship. As they do, two figures at the edge of the docking concourse catch your eye. You pause to look, shifting a little, and as you do, you recognize Cadence leaning in. Some words are exchanged once you can only guess at, and then the other figure embraces Cadence and turns back to the ship. As Seraphin approaches, he ducks his head, passing quietly past you into the docking tunnel without a word. You take one last look at the docks, but Cadence is gone. You idle a moment longer and feel that there's something, some presence, even in these empty bays, something rare in all the belt that Olivera has captured. But as with all things, you must learn to leave it behind. Okay. Yes. Update. No. Lost. Okay. Yeah. screen build is... da. Okay. Sleeper, Yijin takes you aside. I'm going to head into the radius markets to find my contact, the one with the data on the Aphelion. You should come with. 2 sets of eyes are better than 1, he smiles. Who's this contact anyway? You know how it is. A man never reveals his contact. Yijin winks. He's just an old friend, one I've traded favors with a few times, and who has a good nose for data trails. But trails run cold quickly, so we should get on this. On his. Yijin grins and heads for the airlock. Watch him go, unsure what his swagger might hide. But you've come this far with him, maybe it's time to see where it all leads. The Hollow with its brash scrap dealers is intimidating to newcomers, but spend a little time here and you'll find your place. Explore the axis. While the shell is mostly housing and infrastructure, the Hollow's axis is where traders, spaces and scavengers dock and meet. Intercept signals, the local bounce signals of the inside of the Hollow's shell, from pirate radio to shop adverts. Tuning in might teach you something. Ghosted contact. Yijin's signal chaser went dark. It'll take some time and work to find out why and where he is hiding. Ask around. The market has plenty of stalls and they're regulars. One of them must know something about Yijin's contact. Watch the markets. The bustle of the markets looks like chaos, but over time you might be able to notice the patterns and spot Yijin's missing contact. Nee, okay. Warum? Keine Ahnung, warum der Würfel irgendwie einen Strich da durch hat. Radius markets surround you and Yijin. Much of the architecture of the Starward belt is built on a Solheim foundation. As a corporation from the core, Solheim's structures tend towards cardinal directions, towards respecting gravity in a place where it has little effect. But the Radius markets have no such bias, and no singular direction. Instead, the stalls and shops built from scrap frame and hull plate project outwards from all 8 of the surrounding walls. The effect is overwhelming, with activity and interest in all directions. Between the windows that open to faint stars, scrap dealers, street food vendors, data fences and tailors compete for the attention of the stream of customers drifting around you. Sleeper, Yijin draws close to get your attention. His voice barely raised. Take a look. He jerks his head, motioning down the market. You refocus your attention, your eyes drawn to a group of dark-suited spaces with shaved heads. 5 of them gathered around another retreating figure. The spaces are noticeably distinct from the rest of the crowd. They are tied in complex suits, kept in pristine condition, and all in the same design. Rarity amidst the Starward belt's ramshackle fashions. You see, one of them is gesticulating aggressively, chopping the air with his hand. Eugen nudges you again. Not the singers. Glance at him, unsure of the term, the one they are threatening. Eugen starts to move forward, his eyes fixed on the group. That's my contact. Turn back to the group, the singers, as Eugen called them, and see they are rounding on the figure now. Their body language is clear. This is about to come to blows. Eugen clearly sees the shift too. Before you can say a word, he's off, gliding hard through the crowds towards them. You give chase without thinking, kicking off the nearest strut and angling yourself through the central void of the market behind Eugen. Eugen doesn't stop. He barrels straight into the singers, sending 2 of them spinning into the crowd to a chorus of shouts and protests. Join the fight. You follow Eugen's example, arcing your path into one of the singers and throwing an elbow. Both you and Eugen rain blows down on the crew, sending them scattering across the markets and into the crowd that has gathered to watch. As the last one disappears, you look over at the bruised Eugen, a stream of bloody tears floating from his nose. He gives you a nod. That was not a good idea. Eugen's contact looks between the 2 of you. I should have guessed you'd pull this kind of shit, Eugen. Louis. Eugen comes a little closer. Maybe if you stayed in touch, we wouldn't have to come in like the cavalry. Well, those guys aren't going to forget you two anytime soon. He sighs. Come with me. Louis leads you away from the open market, most of the crowd having dispersed into a small passageway. He finds a hatch, opens it, and beckons you both through before slipping inside, closing it behind you. So, what business did you have with the singers? Eugen perches on a stool in the small workshop, picking up a tool from the mag strip above the bench and turning it over in his hands. Singers? Is that what you call them? Louis looks nervous. First I've known of them is when they turned up a few cycles back and started pressing me for info. I've run into some singers before. Not these ones, but they all dress the same. Eugen glances between you and Louis. They are refugees out of Ember's Song, one of the moons of that gas giant in the inner system. The moon is a volcanic hellhole, so while these guys are refugees fleeing the war like most, they tend to be tough as hell and aren't used to being told no. That part checks out. Louis smiles a weak smile. They've been pressing me for data for cycles ever since they showed up. My data? Eugen clicks the tool back on the mag strip and fixes Louis with a hard stare. You've been shopping it around then? Trying to drive a bidding war? Louis holds up his hands. No, nothing like that. He's afraid of Eugen, and you worry why that might be. I just wanted to verify the data. I asked around, someone I showed it to, well, they mentioned a fraction drive. See Eugen bristle with anger. Louis keeps talking, speeding up. That was all, but a couple of cycles later these singers, as you call them, started showing up and I had to hide myself away. How to run a data business when you can't even go out to meet your clients. Where's the data now? Returns to you, seemingly glad not to have to look at the angry Eugen. I have it. Don't you worry. Louis smiles. And it comes with a hell of a story. Friend I showed it to, he told me he's heard about that ship before, mostly what he thought were rumors about a fraction drive ship. Apparently when Solheim collapsed, there was a struggle over who got to take it. Two execs from the old corporate hierarchy wanted it, and some of their underlings found out about it too. Those wrecks you visited, that was the site of a battle over the thing. The ship was a hot ticket, even then. You think back to the twisted and blasted remains of the ships, the wreckage strewn across the asteroid. You wonder how many died to try to get the Aphelion path, then its golden drive. It seems like both the execs got spaced, but someone came back later, slipped the ship out of the wreck that was carrying it. Here's the funny thing, rather than use it, they dismantled it, took the ship apart, here the hollow. Now there's probably Strasbourg from the Aphelion path in this very station. Louis looks around at the salvage compartment. You're all inside. So it's gone? Not quite. Louis smiles, enjoying telling the story now. They weren't stupid enough to dismantle an interstellar drive. The story goes that they buried it on a rock out in the shoals, totally unmarked. With thousands of rocks out there, they could leave it as long as they wanted and come back when they were ready. The thing is, they never came back. Eugen finishes the sentence, his anger fading now. Bingo. Louis grins as he holds up a thumbnail drive. And I've got the coordinates of the beacon that will lead you there. Eugen snatches it from his fingers. Should have led with that. Louis sighs deeply. That's just the start of the trail. No doubt, but it'll get you there if you manage to follow it. Eugen nods at you and goes to leave, his hands immediately on the container hatch. Hey, Louis rushes up. Aren't you gonna pay for that? Not after you leaked that the fraction drive exists to our friend, the thing is, and anyone else who's looking. No. Eugen pulls the door open. Keep it quiet next time. Louis turns to you. Come on, friend. The thing has chased away my clients. Shows you his upturned palms. 50 cryo for the effort, or just whatever you have. I'll take it. I'm desperate. Pause on a stack of chits, and he clasps your hand. I appreciate it. He looks over your shoulder to see if Eugen is still there. Hey, look. Be careful with that one, alright? He's not to be trusted. Lieutenant Eugen is already gone. You follow him out of the container. Time to go find a fraction drive. Okay. Lines. Proscribe night. Signal ship gathers broad spectrum signals from across the debris field. Sorting them is too much work for just a crew. line arrays. In order to collect signals, the signal ship must interface with the hollows and decaying Solheim arrays. This is specialist work. Sell Solheim data. Crew of the signal ship are always after Solheim data in case it contains transmission codes or ciphers. They pay well. Chips allemaal dabei. Ich vergesse jedes Mal. Okay, das Ding. Coming up on the beacon site now. Serafin brings the ship into place. Signal's pretty weak though. He turns in his chair, which is what you get for chasing 10,000 cycle-old leads that got a lot of people killed. Since you explained the situation to Serafin, he hasn't gotten any more enthusiastic about the job, especially as it's a job that comes from Eugene. Starward shuts down the engine and turns to Eugene. Time for you to go have a poke around in those rocks. He waves a hand at the scattering of asteroids. Enjoy. Eugene barely seems to notice the sarcasm. A kind of fixed determination has come over him since you left the Hollow. It's not something you've seen before. Let's suit up and find the beacon. He pats you on the shoulder. We said it's the first of a trial, so the faster we locate this one and get ourselves pointed to the next, the better. Enough messing around. He kicks off and glides out of the cockpit, heading straight for the airlock. Another wild goose chase, Nia sighs. I hope this one turns out better than last time. Nia slips past you and follows your chin to the airlock. It's just you and Serafin left in the cockpit. He taps at his console, ignoring you. You think this is a bad idea? Serafin turns to me. He mockingly puts a finger on his own chest. Look, he gets serious for a second. People have been searching for this thing since the Solheim collapse. That's a lot of desire directed at one hidden drive. Objects like that tend to get people in trouble, Serafin sighs, at least in my experience. So take it slow, and keep your eyes on Eugene. Serafin turns back to the console, busying himself with diagnostics. You turn and leave the cockpit, your mind on the beacon and the trail. It should, all being well, end at a ticket out of the entire system. Irgendwas juckt. The beacon's location is masked by debris or radiation. You'll have to search it out to find the path ahead. Search rocks. Rather than messing with signals, simply searching the rocks in the area should help locate the beacon. triangulate signal. The beacon signal is weak and dispersed, but with some work it might be possible to determine its precise location. Okay. Heads up, Eugen. One word vector. This beacon contains the coordinates for the next beacon in the trail. You just need to extract them. Analyze site. On the site where the beacon is planted shows signs of a ship landing and excavation. Perhaps analyzing the remains would help. Decrypt signal. There seems to be data hidden in the beacon signal. Could it be the location of the next step in the trail? We're in. Eugen nods at the data port. Deep inside the body of the beacon, he peers through his suit's faceplate at it. You have part of the plating removed, and you're pretty sure you have access to the coordinates you need. All that's left is the slotted drive. I've got this. Eugen takes out the thumbnail drive and slots it. Easy as can be. A smile flickers across his face. Peer into the beacon. It has been a delicate job getting the security access and the system knowledge to find the coordinates for the next step. But it all seems to have passed without incident. Got it. Eugen pulls the drive and thumps you on the shoulder. Let's head to the next one. Look alive down there. Seraphin's voice comes over the comms. We've got a ship on approach. We need to make ourselves scarce. You and Eugen exchange looks. Sing it. You kick off and glide towards the ship, but Eugen goes in the other direction. You wonder what he's doing for a second, and then you see it. He arrives at the beacon and immediately begins laying into its metal shell. He pulls a tool from his suit's belt and caves in the beacon with an anger that chills you. When he's done, the beacon just another chunk of debris in the shoals. He joins you in the cockpit. Seraphin gives you a look, but doesn't say a word. He just silently taps in the new coordinates. You look across at Eugen, his expression fixed and his eyes cold. Then Seraphin fires up the drive. Chill bleep wakes you from your stargazing. What was that? Seraphin looks around the cockpit as warning lights and sirens sound all over the ship. The terminal screens flicker, some of them not coming back on. You hear a groan from somewhere deep in the ship. Some kind of pulse? An energy weapon? Seraphin slaps the side of his flickering terminal until it stabilizes. On it, you see a red dot moving further away from the center of a circle. The ship is accelerating away. Seraphin taps at his console, bringing up the transponder information. He turns to Eugene with a hard stare. It's Vesna. Eugene shakes his head. Got it in one. Seraphin grits his teeth. The limb-hound registered in the far spindle. He slams his fist on his keyboard. What did she do? She knocked out our drive. Must have been waiting for us. Seraphin sighs. We'll need to get it activated as quickly as we can. Eugene is up from his seat, peering out of the window at the large rock floating out just outside. Beacon has to be there. Vesna cracked it and then waited for us to catch up. She was trying to dissuade us. She's done a pretty good job. Seraphin scrolls through layers of drive diagnostics. Give up now? Eugene glances at you. So close. That's right. Seraphin sniffs, but says nothing. The things are out there too. If we are lucky, they will cancel each other out. Eugene goes to leave the cockpit. We decrypt the beacon and fix the drive. No distractions. Eugene kicks off and glides out of the cockpit towards the airlock. Did you ever seen this coming? Nia looks at the doorway Eugene just left through. Everything he touches turns to shit. Look, Seraphin turns in his seat. We're on this now, no way back, only forward. But the moment this goes south, and it will, I'll pull you out and we are leaving, whether Eugene wants to back out or not. Seraphin meets your eye. He's serious. I understand. Seraphin nods, saying nothing. Seraphin turns back to his console. This, as far as he is concerned, is your problem to fix. Drive activation. You won't be getting far with a disabled drive. Time to get it started again, however you can. Our system. Bypassing the entire control system of the drive and triggering it manually is a drastic option, but time is short. Forced startup. Forget tinkering with the drive. With no time to waste, physically forcing it to restart might be the best option. Final vector is contained in this beacon, the last hurdle before you reach the fraction drive. Rewire beacon. The beacons are becoming familiar, which means that rewiring might help reveal the coordinates faster. Decrypt signal. Once again, the beacon's signal hides the coordinates of the next beacon. This should be the final one. Seraphim punches the final set of coordinates into his console and runs a fresh set of diagnostics on the rig's drive. Everything comes up green. The atmosphere in the cockpit is tense. None of you know what you might be flying into. Eugen's jaw is set, his eyes on the stars and scattered rocks, his goal in reach. It's not a goal. It's not a goal to be underestimated. A fraction drive, one that can take any ship out of the system and beyond, one that can forge a path through the surrogate systems few can take. Freedom, both from the system's politics and the structures of power that dominate the passage of people through colonized space. The problem with such a lofty ambition is that it is infectious, seductive. It is desirable enough to draw people out, bring them to their absolute limit. You have seen that in Eugen. Singers too are shaped by that desire, and Vesna, the steely-eyed captain, you don't seem to be able to shake. The question is, who will flinch first? Here you are, moored around a remote and airless rock, a scattering of debris concealing an object of great value, in a system spiraling into war. We're the last here. Seraphim shuts down the drive, but at least no one started shooting. Vesna would only kill as a last resort. Eugen looks out at the rock. The singers, I'm less sure about. Reassuring, Seraphim deadpans. So what now? We walk out there and start digging? What do you think, Eugen? I turn to face Eugen, but he is already gone. You get after him. Seraphim shakes his head. I'm going to keep the rig warm. I get the feeling we're going to be needing it. As you glide out the cockpit, you hear the airlock cycling. Eugen is already out. Speed up, grabbing a suit and wrestling it on as you head for the airlock. The device is open to reveal a sparse landscape, the twisted parts of a facility or ship, corroded beyond recognition, jacked up out of the dusty rock. Squinting into the faint and distant sun, you can make out two figures in suits, standing a fair distance apart in the middle of the loose circle of debris. You glide down towards them, specks of loose gravel and decaying metal bouncing off your suit as you do. Now, a voice crackles through your comms as you approach, broadcast over the open channel. None of us want to die out here. You see them now, the two figures, Vesna and the leader of the singers, Peter, facing each other across the dusty plain. Vesna's arm jutting out from her body, her hand resting on an object at her hip, a weapon. Keep your distance, sleeper. Her eyes flick over to you as you approach. This godforsaken rock is crowded enough as it is. We set foot here first. The claim is ours by anyone's judgment. Peter speaks calmly and slowly, his arms at his hips and his palms upturned. And I suspect we're also the best equipped to find the fraction drive and put it to use. Anyone's judgment? Vesna scoffs. Who do you see out here to validate your claim? She gestures at the rock-strewn void with one hand, her other firmly on the grip of her gun. The sleepers are witness here. Peter turns slowly to you. I'm sure they will verify our claim. I didn't see who was first. Vesna laughs. But at least someone here still has integrity. You look between the two of them, searching their faces for an intent, an opening, anything. Vesna's ocular implants give nothing away, but the visible tension in her gun arm suggests failing patience. Peter, meanwhile, projects an atmosphere of considered calm, but there's violence behind that benign smile, and a crew of singers somewhere out there in the dark. drive is mine. Back off. Vesna raises a single eyebrow above her metal eyes. Then you will have to come and take it. Her arm tenses. The shot is silent, its direction unclear, but its effect is immediate. The side of Vesna's suit explodes in a geyser of escaping oxygen. She spins, clutching at the wound to clamp it closed. As she does, you see the shot grazed her, splitting the suit, but leaving her body beneath intact. I'd want to run and get that fixed, Vesna. Eugen slips out from the shadow of a piece of debris at the edge of the circle. He holds a long gun at his hip. What are you doing? Claiming what's mine. Eugen's eyes are fixed on Peter as he moves slowly closer. You son of a bitch. Vesna is doubled over, unable to take her hands away from the hole in her suit without risking immediate depressurization. Eugen draws alongside you, his eyes still on Peter. Time to turn yourself around, get on that ship of yours, and go back to wherever the hell you crawled out from. Glance at Vesna. There's a spout of oxygen spewing out from her suit, leaking between her fingers. She doesn't have long. We can't abandon this claim. Peter shows his open palms. For the singers to survive, we must leave the system behind. There's no way for us to support ourselves here. Our moon is gone, eaten up by the war. The belt will be next. You may as well shoot me here if you're not going to let me take the drive. This is my people's future. Well, Eugen shifts his shoulders. If you insist. Sleeper, we have incoming. A lot of incoming. You glance at Eugen. He's hearing the message too. A whole load of convoy ships are approaching this location. Can we outrun them? I have no idea, but the sooner we leave, the better. Serafin's voiced his thoughts. Convoy drone ships don't tend to ask questions. Look across at Peter and see his lips moving, but hear nothing. He's talking to his crew. A moment later, you hear a click as he switches back to the open channel. If you heard what I just heard, then you know we are out of time. Peter looks deadly serious now, his face of diplomatic calm having fallen away. The singers are the only crew who can pull the fraction drive out before convoy arrives. There are more of us, and we have the experience. Let us take it. Don't let it fall into the hands of the system's biggest enemy. Sleeper, Serafin hisses over the comms. Get back to the rig. No, Eugen cuts in. You're unsure if he is responding to Serafin, Peter, or both. The drive is ours. I've worked too hard and come too far to let it go now. He raises the long gun to his shoulder. You're all insane. Vesna spits out the words, her voice strained and hoarse. I leave you to your graves. She kicks off from the rock, arcing towards the crimson shape of the limb-hound. Eugen doesn't even watch her go. You see something blaring in his eyes, a dark drive with no other resolution. You put a hand on Eugen's shoulder and his eyes flick to you. You know what it is to be driven, especially towards freedom. Yours is a life where each escape has been earned both by desire and sheer determination. But you also know how lives are wasted, thrown against the walls that restrain them again and again, only to come apart. You know that determination must be tempered by humanity, by empathy, by care. And in this moment, that is what passes between you and Eugen. Solidarity, empathy, and care. Eugen's resolve crumbles and he turns. You see Peter watching carefully, his eyes flicking between the two of you. When he sees Eugen drop his gun, he nods to you and retreats. There's work to be done. You kick off from the rock together, you and Eugen, in silent resignation. Even when you reach the open airlock of the rig, Eugen does not look back. Once your suits are off, you both glide up to the cockpit to find Serafin rapidly starting the drive. His console screen is filled with red pulses, the signatures of Conway drone ships bearing down on this lonely rock. He glances up as you enter the cockpit, but says nothing. You're thankful for that, at least. There's no time for glib remarks. Take one last look at the Aphelion Path's final resting place. Across its surface, black-suited singers, like a small army of ants, industriously work to excavate and extract the fraction drive. In the face of the inhuman and cruel arm of Conway Extractions, it is hard not to wish them well. May their freedom buy them the kind of future you were not able to claim. And then the drive kicks in, and you leave the singers to their fate. You find yourself in the cockpit alone with Flint. They have a habit of entering a room so silently that you don't notice them arrive, or the reverse, leaving so silently that you turn around to find them gone. Right now, they hover expectantly at the corner of your vision, preparing to speak. Do you ever think about your original? The way they ask the question, you can tell they have been eager to ask it for a while. The person you are emulated from, I mean. The person who sold themselves, sold you to as an ARP. Flint's expression doesn't betray any emotion, but you feel like you can detect some unknowable feeling running behind their eyes. Sometimes I can't stop thinking about them, about who they were, and if who I am has anything to do with them. Flint looks away. Is my personality a product of being a sleeper or simply a copy of theirs? Have I changed or am I still identical to them? Does the emulation process, the loss of memory, the insertion into a frame actually make us totally different people? What came through the process of emulation and what was blocked? Flint is looking around the cockpit rapidly now, their eyes flicking from object to object as they speak. Are the memories still inside me, but cut off, sealed? And if I admit it, I wonder if I even know what it feels like to be a person. Do the humans around me feel the same things I feel? Or do they feel more, feel less, feel somehow differently? Do they feel the creeping claustrophobia of being trapped inside a body with no escape? Flint's eyes flick back to you. Or do only we know how that truly feels? Should ask a human. I'm asking you, because I've never had the chance to ask another sleeper these things. To know if how I feel is something that could be shared. There's a wall in you, one that you've built for yourself. One that separates the kind of questions Flint is asking from the parts of you that you need to live. You feel it now, like a weight in your chest, and behind there's a raging torrent pressing against it. You cannot take down the wall, you would drown. But in this moment, for Flint and for yourself, you take out a single brick, you make a gap in the wall, and you share what comes bursting forth. You talk about what it feels like to wake up in a dying body, to catch a glance of yourself in a mirror, to be seen and reminded of your faults and fractured face. You share the pain of lost memories, of fleeting deja vus, of dreams that slip beneath your waking life and replace it. You find in your broken bodies and unsteady minds a kind of solidarity, one shared between connected strangers who might, one cycle, understand each other as friends. As you put the brick back in and shore up your defenses, you know that cycle will not be this one. Its distant possibility is a reassuring one. We've got a message, sleeper. Everything comes to the bunks to get you. His mood unusually serious. He brings you to the cockpit, his keepsake coin in his hand the whole time, spinning between his fingers. Seraphin is worried. Once you're in the cockpit, you recognize Carmen's voice immediately, playing over the rig speaker. Sleeper, I hope this message finds you and your crew safely. Forgive me if I am a little tight on the details. My message is as follows. We are ready. We will be waiting where we agreed. Godspeed. The message ends with a click. So, Seraphin takes a deep breath. They are waiting in Greenbelt, the wheat sheaf, he said, whatever that is. You ready for this? I'm ready. Seraphin nods. Alright then. Quiet falls in the cockpit. There doesn't seem to be much more to say. Carmen will be waiting, but you know he will want you to be prepared. I'll be ready when you are asleep. Seraphin nods to you. You're not back. You know where you need to go to end this. The ship is quiet as you dock with the Hollow, no one eager to speak about what happened out there in the shoals. Even Seraphin is silent, tapping away at the engine shut down with comfortingly routine motions. Eugene broods at the back of the cockpit, looking drained and pale. You know, it will take him some time to come back from this, to extract himself from the hold that fraction drive, that dream held over him. You wonder if he ever will, or if the freedom that object represented to him will haunt him for the remains of his life. You know at least that now is not the time to try to discuss it, to lay out exactly what happened out there. Eugene will retreat, of course, hiding beneath the glib personality you have come to recognize as his shield. But perhaps, as the cycles pass, he will find himself changed, perhaps not. Either way, there's much to be done, and this thankless adventure has derailed you enough. Time to get back to work. With repairs, signaling station on the pole is paying a small fee to anyone who helps seal up the damage sustained in a recent explosion. Convoy aftermath. You've heard that a drifting convoy munition may have been responsible for the damage to the pole. But is that just a rumor? Ja, hört sich so an, als ob bald Finale da ist.